So today we're going to give you an introduction to our visual automation builder. Now, to find your automation, you scroll here on the left hand side and you click on automation. Now what this will do is it'll bring you to your home page of your automation. Now there's two ways to create a new automation. You can click on the create automation here on the right hand side and that'll bring you straight into your visual builder, or else you can click on the automation templates here. So you can choose from any of these library templates that we have built for you. Now just to note that these templates will still have to be configured within your visual builder. So when you choose any of these templates to use, you still have to configure things like messages, logic, trigger criteria, and things like that. But don't worry, we'll come to that shortly and we'll give you a run through of that so it'll all make sense shortly. Now you can also just go into here to automations. Also, inside here is your list of your existing automations that you have on the system, and you can also edit an existing automation by clicking on the automation name here. So you can see the automation name is clicked, and what it will do is it'll bring us into the automation builder. Now we just have this one wiped, so it's starting from a blank canvas from scratch. So here we're in our automation builder. So the first thing to do is to give your automation a proper naming piece. So what we try and advise is to give this a unique identifier, so you'll be able to easily find this and relate it down the line, when you have multiple amounts of automations. So another trick you can also do is put in maybe the date and year or something like that after the name as well, just to help you identify. So for this one, for the video, we're just going to say testing for demo October. It's already in there, and we're just going to pick the month as well just to help us with that. Now on the left hand side you have all your triggers here. Now triggers are what begin automations. So an automation needs a trigger to start, and you can see here these are square in shape, whereas the actions then that follow on from triggers are round in shape. Now we just show the difference between these just to make it visually easier to see the difference within your visual builder, which we will get to shortly. So you can see here the triggers are broken down into different sections. So you have an email and click link. So this could be things like an opened email, or maybe clicked on a link in an email, or clicked on a link on a SMS and things like that. We've e-commerce actions. If your e-commerce store is linked to your automation account, we'll be able to utilize those. We have user behavior actions, again, join list or reach a goal and things like that. We've time specific time pieces for trigger actions. We've API, external links, and we also have notes. So I'm just going to show you here the note now. Now firstly, the note doesn't actually execute anything. This is just for your own internal notes. So I'll just show you here an example. So we're just going to type that in and hit save and exit. So if you double click, you can see the test note, so you can have all your notes for your internal use, or you can also edit note. Again, this doesn't actually trigger anything. It's just for your own internal users, just to make it easier for them with different notes on your different automations. Now next to this you have actions. So these actions are linked to triggers, and these are what carry out the automation flow. So for example, if you had a trigger of open email, a subsequent action could be maybe sending a secondary email after that email is opened, or maybe sending a text or notifying a team and things like that. Again, we've lots of different options here for you to utilize. Now I'm going to be unpacking and going through all the triggers and actions in different videos within the automation module pieces. So I'd recommend having a look at those, because there's a lot of useful information, and it runs through exactly each one of these, so you can really maximize the effect of your marketing automation module. Now on the bottom right hand side, you'll see here there's a zoom in and zoom out. So if you have a larger automation, you can quickly have a helicopter view of the whole lot of the automation. And we also have a little map drag and drop piece here, so you can just drag along your map if you have something of a larger piece of an automation that you want to have another helicopter view. You can do that. And we also have a show statistics button, which will show you how many people are on a certain stage in your automation workflow. So on the top right hand side we have our housekeeping. So firstly we have a history, so you can go back in time to pre-saved automation versions of the one you were currently on. So if you were to make a mistake or you wanted to roll back in time, you can easily do that. Then in the options piece, you'll see there's a save and exit, or even switch to a different automation on your automation list that we could see on your automation home screen there shortly ago. So I'm going to go back in history and I'm going to click this version that we had previously built out. So you can see on screen here, you can see a workflow. Now, when we say workflow or drips, this is pretty much what we mean. So you can see here on workflow number 1, it has a beginning trigger here of opened email and then subsequent action of send an email after that. And in workflow 2, you can see here it begins with when somebody joins a list or fills out a form. Now on the bottom workflow here, you can see there's 2 different branches that flow out from this trigger. And in the top one here, you can see when it syncs to third party, it actually branches out again. So, you have lots of options to, create really sophisticated workflows, and really maximize the different options in there. Now, just while we're on the top piece of the second one, I just want to show you here the time delay. So what you can do is you can add a delay action here. So what will happen is it'll have a point in time and it'll delay the next action, whatever amount of time you've specified, and then it'll continue on again with workflow. Now on workflows, you can have these as long as you wish. So as you're continuously adding your actions, they will flow until all those actions end. So you could run that for like maybe a week or a month or even longer if you want to. It's completely up to yourself. Now, also when you hover over the arrows that you can see here, you'll see a little gear icon here that is a filter piece. So when we click on this basically can enact actions within that arrow that's flowing from that trigger to an action or an action to an action. So for this example, if we say that we're just going to add in a new rule of maybe people who are tagged with a certain tag. So we're going to say here at that point in time in the workflow that people who are tagged with this SEO target tag, they will continue on through the workflow, whereas those who don't have that tag are actually omitted from the rest of the workflow. Again, we're going to have a video on all these different conditions within automations, so we'll be doing a deep dive in that video. So that would be a video that we would recommend viewing again. Again, we just wanted to show you, that you have the different filters on different arrows within different stages. So you have lots of different options there to be able to utilize. Now you can also do filters within the triggers too. Now the only thing to make note of is that the trigger is really the gateway of the workflow. So obviously if you set your criteria there, you will exclude any contacts from the beginning of entering the workflow that don't match criteria that you have set. Now everything you can see is, everything you can see on screen is fully configurable. So I can double click on email here, for example. So you can see here you can actually choose a pre-built email, or you can create an email from scratch to link to that action. And you can also then here choose if a customer or a contact is to flow through or enact that action maybe only once. So you can just have it select on no, it'll only happen and act for them once, or else maybe you want to set it on yes because you want them to work or to go through that action multiple times. Maybe if they fill out a form over and over again, or if it was a content piece that they were filling in to receive and you wanted to send that to them multiple times, you could hit select. So there's lots of options within each configurable piece. Now the logic within the system is to always flow with the direction of the arrows. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to quickly zoom in here so we can get a better better view. So as you can see, the arrows are here, so they're going in that flow. So what I can do here is for example, I'm just going to remove. Now I'm just going to remove those 2 bottom arrows from the workflow. So you can see here the trigger still is enacted. So this is where the workflow starts. So now that you click on this piece, if somebody joins this list, it'll enact the top workflow, but it actually won't flow through the bottom flow here. So to enact the bottom workflow to work again, you just catch the arrow, drag and drop over to notification team, and then again drag and drop the arrow over to add tag. So what will happen is it'll flow from joined and it'll do the top workflow, but subsequently it'll also run the bottom workflow because it's going in the sequence and system logic of the directions. So obviously this is just an example just to show you how the system follows the arrows. the system doesn't care if the arrows are maybe this different action is positioned here, up or down or left or right. It'll always flow through the link of your arrow sequence, so you don't have to worry about positioning. It's just once your arrows, I suppose, are running from trigger to trigger to trigger to have the sequence you want, then it's going to work perfectly fine. So you can see you've lots of options to to break out the branches, run different automation pieces, and also run beside a full automation workflow here, as you can see, that's kind of more customer facing. Just run alongside it an internal workflow that matches that. And so again, you're really utilizing the information that you're packing into your own account. So it's really a playground for you to build whatever automation you desire. And we'd always recommend maybe creating 1 or 2 different mock ones just to get used to it, start utilizing it, using it, getting to know the different triggers and things like that. As I said, we're going to have different videos for the different triggers and options, so I recommend checking out those, as there's a lot of information there to expand all the options and how you can utilize it. So that's the video for today. If you've any other questions or need help with anything else, please submit a help desk ticket and we'd be delighted to help out. Thanks very much for reviewing today, and we'll see you in the next training video.